My name is John Main, and welcome to the Polyplexus Pilot 2 Proposers Day webcast. This is the second iteration of the Polyplexus Pilot, and which is being run by the Defense Sciences Office here at DARPA. The key source of information regarding the Polyplexus Pilot 2 effort is the broad agency announcement. Everything you need to know about participating in Polyplexus Pilot 2 is in the broad agency announcement, and that's available both on FedBizOps at the address shown here and on grants.gov. It is incredibly important if you're interested in participating in the pilot to review the broad agency announcement, and if you want to submit an abstract or a proposal, it's actually important that you read the entire broad agency announcement. It's freely available. You can download it as a PDF and review it at your leisure. If you have questions about the program, the Polyplexus Pilot program, there's an email address at the bottom of this chart that where you can send questions, and we actually post the answers to those questions at the address shown at the bottom of this chart, so everybody can access those questions and answers. If you participated in the first Polyplexus Pilot, you're going to notice some differences. One thing that is actually the same is that the best time to start participating in the pilot is now. The more time you participate in the online platform, the more good ideas we think you'll generate, and the more opportunity you're going to have to potentially submit an abstract that would lead to a proposal submitted to DARPA. So the sooner you start, the more time you're going to have. The last day to actually register for access to the online platform, the polyplexus.com platform, is August 3rd, 2019. You actually register for the platform at the same website that you registered for this webinar. That registration will serve two purposes. Even after the webinar is presented, that site will remain live for the single purpose of allowing people to register and generate a email invitation to be able to get a log on onto the polyplexus.com system. There is a time lag between when you register on the webinar website and when the invitation is generated, so please be patient with us. The abstract due date for the Polyplexus Pilot 2, the final due date will be August 14th, 2019, but we are accepting abstracts throughout the entire time period from September 4th, 2018 to August 14th, 2019. We actually anticipate selecting up to one effort per month to fund ideas that are generated on the polyplexus.com platform. So you can submit an abstract at any time. Whenever you have an idea or a fully developed idea that you feel is mature enough to submit for consideration of DARPA, you don't have to wait until next August to do so. You can do that at any time. The last day to submit a frequently asked question for this year of the pilot, the fiscal year 19 iteration of the pilot, is August 1st, 2019. And the last date you could submit a proposal is September 3rd, 2019. But again, you can submit a proposal anytime between now and September 3rd, 2019, and we encourage you to do so sooner rather than later. We are also accepting abstracts, and we strongly encourage people to submit an abstract rather than going through the large amount of work required to submit a full proposal. An abstract allows us to assess and have an interaction with you, so you can get a clear view of an interest level at DARPA for your idea without generating that entire proposal. And instructions for generation of abstracts are in the broad agency announcement. So again, the most important thing you can do if you're interested in pursuing funding through Polyplexus is to read the broad agency announcement, which is publicly available. So let's talk a couple of minutes about the goals and mechanisms in Polyplexus. So the overarching goal of Polyplexus is to, in general, accelerate research and development. And how we intend to go about doing that is to leverage modern communications, particularly online communications, and with the goal of incorporating emerging science as quickly as possible in new proposals. So what we really want to do is close that loop, the loop that occurs when new science emerges and it's reincorporated in future research proposals. We want to tighten that loop up and make it as small as possible. There are three elements of the polyplexus.com platform that we'll be utilizing quite a bit in Polyplexus Pilot 2. The first is collaborative evidence generation, and we ask all the participants in the pilot to create what are called evidence micropublications. Those will be explained in more detail on the platform. We also ask participants to generate conjecture micropublications, which are really intended to sort of duplicate hallway conversation at a conference. And specifically what a conjecture micropublication is a supposed relationship between two pieces of evidence, even if those two pieces of evidence might seem outwardly unrelated, or even if they're obviously related, we'd still like to capture those conjectures. Both the evidence generation and the conjecture or hypothesis generation actually happen in a public space. But what happens in private is individual Polyplexus.com users can collect their own customized sets of evidence, their own customized sets of conjectures, and build a scaffold of a research narrative using those pieces of information in a private setting on Polyplexus.com, and use that as the beginning of an abstract that can be submitted to DARPA. Here's an overview of the Polyplexus process, but keep in mind this is not a linear process really with a beginning and an end. This linear process is running constantly all the time, so it's a recursive process. But any individual, should they start today by registering for the webinar and ultimately reach the point of receiving a research award from DARPA from participation in the process, we'll check every one of these boxes as they go through the process. There's three general sets of activities. The first one is registration for participation in the Polyplexus Pilot. Presumably, if you can hear the sound of my voice right now, you've already registered for the webinar, and you should have already received or will receive an invitation to set up an account on the polyplexus.com system. And by the way, if you register for Polyplexus Pilot 1, your username and password should still work. The second set of activities happen on the polyplexus.com platform, and these again are the evidence collection, conjecture generation, and portfolio development tasks that I briefly talked about on the prior chart, but are covered in far more detail on the platform. Those actually happen on the polyplexus.com platform. The third set of activities happen back at the DARPA proposal submission site. So if you participate in Polyplexus, it stimulates a great idea that you want to pursue, and you develop a portfolio around it. You should take that portfolio, improve on it a little bit in private on the word processor on your computer, and then submit that abstract directly to the DARPA abstract submission site. That abstract submission site is specified in the broad agency announcement. So once you get to this point of submitting an abstract, you need to return to the broad agency announcement. Again, look at it in detail and submit an abstract that we can review here at DARPA. Abstract is the response from DARPA on an abstract is either an expression of interest or expression of maybe reconsider different aspects of your submission. But regardless of how DARPA responds to that abstract, you can submit a full proposal based upon your original idea and the response from DARPA. And if that proposal is successful, it could lead to a fundamental research award. But again, all these last three steps, abstract submission, proposal submission, and fundamental research award, do not happen on the polyplexus.com platform. They happen on existing DARPA platforms that are designed for these specific purposes. So a little more detail on the first step, the participant registration step. The actual registration website is the website you use to register for this webinar. Again, it serves two purposes. One is to register for this webinar, which is going to be broadcast on September 11th and September 13th, 2018, and then the website will remain live for the entire year of the Polyplexus Pilot 2, and you can register for participation on the online platform until August 3rd, 2019. The second set of activities, again, are all hosted on the polyplexus.com website. This set of activities is built around the public evidence collection, which is generally based upon cited works such as technical papers or theses or dissertations. public conjecture generation, which is when participants in the platform think about how different pieces of evidence might be related. Again, that's completely public. And then a private portfolio development capability, which is on the platform, which allows individuals, and at some point during Polyplexus Pilot 2, a teaming capability will be added to the website where private teams can actually participate in the development of a portfolio, although that capability is not, at the time of this webinar, on the platform. But the goal of the private portfolio development is to allow individuals and teams to collect evidence and conjectures and start building skeletons of research narratives based upon the conversation that's happening on the platform. And then again, the third set of activities is really revolves around taking ideas that are stimulated by the interactions on the platform and bringing those back and submitting them as abstracts, preferably as abstracts, and also as proposals to DARPA for consideration. Again, abstracts can be submitted anytime between now and August 14th, 2019. And proposals can be submitted anytime between now and September 3rd, 2019. There is no reason to wait. If you've come up with a good idea from the information on the platform and can generate a research portfolio, a Polyplexus research portfolio based upon that information, you may submit an abstract or a proposal at any time. The evaluation criteria are the same evaluation criteria that we use in the Defense Sciences Office Open Broad Agency announcement, which are scientific and technical merit, contribution and relevance to the DARPA mission, and cost realism. So they are our standard evaluation criteria. And our goal, again, is to make probably 10 awards at the $100,000 maximum level throughout fiscal year 2019. So important things to note: we are looking for broad representation on the Polyplexus platform. So if you're in a small business or a large business or at a university or at a research institution, we encourage you to participate and potentially even submit an abstract or a proposal for consideration from DARPA. But keep in mind that the polyplexus.com platform is under construction. So it's an evolving software environment. There will be bugs. There will be platform changes, some of them major, over the course of Polyplexus Pilot 2. Any awards that are ultimately made through participation in Polyplexus Pilot 2 will take the form of a procurement contract, conceivably a grant or a cooperative agreement, or perhaps even what we call an other transaction. The scope of the awards are basic or fundamental science and technical research. If you're familiar with the DoD research terminology, this typically is referred to as 6.1 research. And there are two frequently asked question resources that you can go to on Polyplexus Pilot 2. If you're looking for information about the DARPA program, that information is included on the second chart in this deck. If you're interested in frequently asked questions and have questions about the platform, there is an FAQ that's actually on the Polyplexus website that you can refer to. So just to summarize, if you choose to participate in the Polyplexus Pilot, expect to participate in a rigorous online conversation. And our goal really is to capture emerging scientific evidence through these evidence micropubs, and that evidence will be available to all participants. We actually also expect people to participate in the conversation around conjecture. Again, that's a public conversation. Every participant will have the capability to gather in a private environment their own collection of evidence or their own collection of conjecture, and they can work with that evidence and conjecture to try to develop their own research narratives should they choose so. And you can take that, every person that's participating on the platform can take their Polyplexus portfolio, that's the scaffold of a research narrative, and use that to develop an abstract or ultimately a proposal that could be submitted to DARPA for consideration for a fundamental research award. So just in closing, this is the second time we've run a Polyplexus Pilot. but we keep running into things that surprise us. We keep running into things that are new. The platform is still evolving, and lots of people have questions about how to approach the platform, what expectations are. Please ask questions. There are 2 FAQs that you can go to. There's the program FAQ at DARPA, and then there's the frequently asked questions page on the Polyplexus platform. Both of those are great sources of information. We would love to interact with you and help us make this platform a better place to go to think about innovation, to spur new innovation, and ultimately generate better fundamental research proposals for DARPA. My final recommendation is going to be, if you're interested in pursuing funding in the Polyplexus Pilot 2 effort, please download, browse, and read the broad agency announcement. Everything you need to know about participating in Polyplexus Pilot 2 is in that document. It is very important to understand it, to participate in the pilot, to submit an abstract, and to ultimately submit a proposal and win. So again, the most important thing, read and understand the broad agency announcement. Thank you.